Shorthand higher grade dictation, second paper dictation, elaboration and condensation, 120 words per minute, 9 minutes. 10 seconds. 5 seconds. Dictation elaboration. Number 1. Now write down. The South Central Railway, in spite of numerous requests by mango fruit dealers, is not arranging sufficient number of railway wagons for exporting mangoes to North Indian cities where there is heavy demand. Their association has passed a resolution to meet in delegation the Railway Minister at New Delhi to emphasize urgent necessity of releasing the required number of wagons. As the Secretary of the Association, write a letter to the Railway Minister requesting him to give an interview to the delegation at a very early date. Request that a reply by wire may be given to save time. Number 2. The Minister for Tourism of Government of India is shortly visiting Hyderabad in connection with the International Year of Tourism. Central government has asked the state government to prepare a comprehensive note about the tourist attractions in the state, for which the center will provide monetary aid to enable these centers to attract foreign tourists and thus earn foreign currency for the country. This note is to be submitted to the minister when note is to be he visits the state capital. Draft a covering letter to the private secretary to the tourism minister enclosing 2 copies of the note on potential tourist centers in the state. Request government to sanction liberal financial aid and mention that recently the state celebrated a tourist fortnight. Number 3. In your view, TV programs of Hyderabad Center of Doordarshan are dull, colorless, mostly catering to the low taste and often not showing items as per programs published. No apologies for the mistakes of commission and omission are given, and its announcers talk and pose more than the persons they interview. Write a letter to the editor of a newspaper complaining about the above defects and demanding that the Hyderabad Center of Doordarshan should improve its performance and come up to the high standards of its sister centers at Delhi, Bombay and Madras. Send copies to the directors of the Doordarshan centers at Hyderabad and also New Delhi. Number 4. A large and reputed commercial bank has openings for clerks and cashiers. The minimum qualification is a second-class graduation and the age limit is 28 years for general pool and 31 years for SCs and STs. Applications are in prescribed form should reach the personal manager before 30th June, and applications not conforming to the above requirements will be rejected and no correspondence entertained. Candidates will be asked to sit for written test in English, arithmetic and general knowledge. Those successful in the test will be called for interview at selected centers at own expense. Prepare an advertisement on the above information. Number 5. The Industrial Finance Corporation is encouraging entrepreneurs having technological education to start industries in new fields. Address a letter to an applicant asking him to furnish details of educational and technological qualifications and references for verification of character, antecedents and financial capacity. Condensation. Educational technology is a very new phrase in our country, that an understanding about this new branch in education and training is becoming increasingly popular day by day. Technology is described as the application of knowledge to practical purposes, and hence educational technology comprised of the process of applying available knowledge in a systematic way to problems in education and training. Educational technology, with its wider connotation than simply applying the use of electromechanical and other aids in teaching, places equal stress on educational ideas as well as technological inventions. Educational technologists accept that fundamental advances usually come from the interaction of changing concepts, teaching to new ways of looking at things with changing techniques, teaching the new ways of doing things. Educational technology comprehends a number of distinguishable areas of activity. The most familiar is the use of technical devices to support the process of teaching and learning. These include visual projection apparatus, radio and television systems, tape recorders for sound and vision, duplicating, photographing, and other reprographic equipment, language laboratories, and teaching machines, from the very simple to the highly elaborate, some of which requires staff with special training or experience to operate and maintain them. However, the use of technical aids is not self sufficient. They are devices for conveying learning material which has to be supplied either by the individual teacher or by some other teacher or other on his behalf. Other aspects of educational technology relate, therefore, to the production of this material. Sometimes it seems from the general interaction of teacher and student with a range of problems and situation. At other times, it is necessary to construct the material more systematically in the light of research into the processes of learning, particularly of learning by a carefully designed sequence of steps. This process is characteristic of what has become known as programmed learning, although even here current practices frequently embrace course structures considerably broader than those originally conceived. Thus, the teacher constantly requires facilities to make resource material for himself or to adapt to his own needs material supplied from other sources. These needs will vary from time to time, perhaps in response to changing local circumstances or to the evolution of new attitudes and approaches to learning. Moreover, in responding to his day to day problems, the teacher who decides to integrate new systems and techniques into his work will find that his innovation has implications beyond the confines of his own classroom. It may impinge on the work of his colleagues or create new demands of time, accommodation, and financial resources. The more obvious material aspects of educational technology cannot sensibly be disassociated from consideration or organization and management or curriculum content, innovation and development. It is an important aim in educational technology to promote an educationally constructive interaction between the new facilities it can offer and other elements in educational theory and practice. Its present prominence stems largely from the emergence of new technical aids and of new knowledge about learning and about the processes of communication, and it embraces not simply the use of the new equipment and the techniques but also their adoption and coordination to serve new patterns and systems of learning. This involves a shift from a predominantly intuitive attitude to teaching and learning towards a more systematic and analytical approach. The practical consequences of this change in attitude include a closer attention to the definition of objectives, selection and systematic use of the most appropriate and effective techniques and devices, and attention to the evolution of results for the purpose of assessing or modifying the learning program.